Good morning, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate you sharing your time with me. Today is August the 10th, 2022. So I have some news to share with you. Today I will start with uh, the video I shared from Bullo Media. Credit for Bullo Media for this video. So I reported last time about the Oromos participating in World Festival in Edmonton, Canada, for the first time representing Oromia. Never happened before. So they represented uh, Oromos culture, uh, including different dancing styles, clothing, and the food, and the different arts. So it's an unbelievable achievement. Uh, this the Oromo communities in Canada, for the first time, achieving this milestone, representing the or Oromos, representing Oromos as Oromia, not under Ethiopia, just Oromia as a country, and competing with 85 countries globally. And they also did very wonderful job, especially the last 2 days. They are very well recognized for their achievement, cultural food, dancing, different from different zones, representing different style of dancing, singing, and clothing. So it's a very mild, very great achievement, and it's on the way to be recognized as a country, Oromia and Oromos to be recognized as a country in the future. So I will start with this video. Let's start sometimes with fun, always with tragic news. And, so let's start with this and continue with other videos at the end. Then I will read a couple of news. Thank you again for joining me. Let's entertain ourselves with this cultural festival presentation by Oromos in Edmonton, Canada. So congratulations for the Oromo diaspora community in Canada. It is a very, very wonderful achievement. You did great job. So they are just playing typically the culture.
There's anger and grief across the occupied West Bank after Israeli forces.
Okay, I will come back to this one. So that's the Edmonton Cultural Festival or Heritage Festival conducted in Edmonton, Canada, and Oromos participating in this event for the first time as uh, representing Oromia as a country. And they did a wonderful job. And this is a taste of that show. that festival, and typically this from RC and Bali area. But the event, I have other videos. Maybe I will bring it on another time, representing all areas in Oromia region. Shoa, Wallega, Borana, Guji, all areas, Hararge. So the event including all cultures, from Oromia region, and the dressing, the food. So I say again, congratulations for the Edmonton, the Canada diaspora community in general for this high achievement representing Oromia as a country for the first time. Congratulations again. So let's read a couple of other news, and we'll come back to this video. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that video. I will come back with other videos too from that event on another time. There we go. Affected communities left to die of hunger unless intervention is enacted, exclaimed Oromo Federalist Congress. The Oromo Federalist Congress, OFC, has written a letter on 6 August 2022 to relief organizations working in Ethiopia to take account of and respond to the drought, which it says is devastating the eastern and southern sections of the Oromia region. The letter identified 8 zones of Oromia, namely East Bale, Guji, West Guji, West Hararge, East Hararge, RC, West RC, and Borana, whereby it was said that an exacerbated drought was consuming lives. The opposition party blamed federal and regional authorities for neglecting and repudiating the existence of the drought situation, and attributed the deteriorating security context to exposing more zones of the region to the bayfalls of the drought. OFC distressingly reminded its address that unless local and international intervention is engineered in the fastest possible manner, drought-impacted communities were helpless and consequently left to die of hunger. Finally, 2 calls were made out to the international relief providers and the federal government of Ethiopia to respond accordingly. Firstly, it urged international relief to apply efforts at an expedited pace to reach to the drought. Secondly, the party stressed that the federal government of Ethiopia must recognize the drought's existence and deploy its capabilities in collaboration with the 4 named international partners to alleviate the dilemma in concern. Drought spreading in the Oromia regional state has been of concern to entities besides political parties mobilizing there, including the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, which assessed 11 Kabbales and emphasized requesting the federal government of Ethiopia to take action in cooperation with the international relief mechanizations. Addis Standard has recently reported that at least 12 people died in the Guji zone, one of the 8 impacted zones as a result of hunger. The drought, which has been called one of the worst in decades, is adversely affecting food and water shortage in multiple regions of Ethiopia, including Oromia, Somali, SNNP, and the newly formed Southwest Ethiopian People's Region, with the relief organizations earmarking 16.99 million people of mitigating according to recent estimate. Credit at this standard. So OFC warning the international community and the federal government of Ethiopia about this devastating drought and its impact, killing people, already killed more than 12 people and in one zone alone. And the government of Ethiopia, as I reported and as many media reported, the government of Ethiopia is denying about the existence of this drought and killing of people. So they want to tell us to the global community and about prosperity, nothing else. They just want us to feed us their prosperity, but people are dying. Or more than 1 million livestock already perished, and they are just covering it up, and they are not, calling for help and doing whatever they can by using available resources. They are not doing. They try to cover it up, and I reported on that issue, and I call on international community to act before human lives lost, many thousands and thousands. I call on we are the world type of action, which is carried out by Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, and other international artists to address Ethiopia's hunger before. So we need the same kind of situation. Conflict, natural disasters force more than 2.9 million children out of school. 9,382 schools across Ethiopia damaged fully or partially, the report says. A United Nations report on Ethiopia's education cluster covering the months between April and June this year revealed that the ongoing conflict, rising level of food insecurity, and other climate shocks in Ethiopia continue to have a significant impact on children's access to education, school infrastructure, and children's learning. As of June 2022, more than 2.9 million children across Ethiopia remain as out-of-school children due to the conflict, drought, flooding, and other natural emergency situations, the report said. This represents 17% of the school-age population being out of school. Almost 50% of out-of-school children are entering their third year without any access to learning. There is a risk of losing generation of children in northern Ethiopia, in combined reference to the war-torn Tigray, Afar, and Amara regional states. Priorities in education listed in these 3 regions include the provision of school furniture to almost 85% of the schools in Tigray in need, and 4,400 schools in Amara and Afar regions, especially in need of combined desks and blackboards. Among the reasons for out-of-school children, 2.5 million children are impacted by conflict, which led to the closure of 2,509 schools, whereas the ongoing drought in various parts of the country has impacted 1.6 million children and forced the closure of 1,479 schools. The school damage assessment by Regional Education Bureau indicated that a total of 9,382 schools across Ethiopia were fully or partially damaged, which is affecting the safe, protective, and conducive environment for learning and has forced more children to remain out of school. Out of these 3,091 schools are severely damaged, while 6,219 schools are partially damaged, according to the report. The impact of flood exacerbated the learning of children, those already in difficult conditions in some of the regions, which have yet to recover from the impact of drought and conflict. Some US 86.6 million is required to, among others, provide children with emergency school feeding support, provide or distribute learning supplies, provide temporary learning spaces, learning supplies, stationery, and rehabilitate classrooms. However, only 38% of the required funding, leaving a gap of 60.6 million. 8 donors, 23 NGOs, 16 NNGOs, 6 United Nations agencies, and the government are engaged in the response action, the report said. So that's the impact of unnecessary war Abiy Ahmed waged in northern part of the country on Tigrayans. Unnecessary, created chaos, the days destruction, plus now the loss of generation by by denying the opportunity for these young children to get education. So that's the impact. OLF slams African Union characterization of military conflict in Oromia as ethnic violence. The opposition party, Oromo Liberation Front, OLF, has criticized the African Union, AU, characterization of the militarized conflict in Oromia regional state as ethnic violence. The OLF was referring to a recent brief note by the African Union after its high representative for the Horn of Africa, Olusegun Obasanjo, briefed the AU Peace and Security Council, AUPSC, on the peace talks in Ethiopia. The party said such characterization was based on erroneous assumptions and the factual fallacies that one does not expect from a continental organization. A modest observer expects AU to base its conclusion on a non-partisan, solid, and comprehensive analysis of the drivers of the conflict and its actors. Apart from the conflict in Tigray, Western continue to be confronted by ethnic violence that is taking a heavy toll on intercommunal relations, including in parts of Oromia, Benishangul Gumuz regions. These ethnic tensions have dates back to several decades, but have seen a sharp increase over the past 3 years. The AU brief note rates, triggering the backlash from OLF. AU's characterization disregards the fact that different groups of people who subsume varied identified have amicably lived with the Oromo people in Oromia in general and Western Oromia in particular. Hospitality, friendlessness, and the protection of non-Oromo groups have been the hallmark of the Oromo culture since immemorial. Members of the Amara ethnic group have lived in the area mainly referred to by AU for the last 30 years and have never complained misdeeds as they have never had any problem, the OLF said. Armed confrontation has been raging by liberation forces since the 1980s, and there is no single report of an attack against civilians, including the Amara, the party said, and accused the ruling Prosperity Party of trying to model the conflict as ethnic in order to shun a political solution to the problem and deny the liberation fighters' political demands. It is sad to see the AU endorses this ingenious stand of the Ethiopian ruling party. This raises serious doubt about the impartiality of the continental organization. Furthermore, the OLF said that it was outrageous to see the AU claiming more than 100 people, mostly from Amhara ethnic group, were killed in Ethiopia's Oromia region in the aftermath of Gambela attack, while the party said it condemned any civilian killing and uphold the peaceful existence and rights of all civilians living in Oromia. It also expects the AU to report about hundreds of innocent Oromos killed in Oromia by armed government soldiers and cross-border militia, which human rights groups have continuously reported. The civilian killing in Gambela after the onslaught by the armed rebels on the government military camp categorically targeted the Oromo residents in Gambela, accusing them of providing support for the rebels. OLF said armed government troops went door to door and attacked the Oromos, which graphic pieces of evidence have corroborated. It suffices to refer to the purposeful killing of a young Oromo, his hands tied on his back, and repeatedly shot by Gambela regional police members. The party insisted that, as its core value, it always uphold a peaceful resolution of any conflict and political issues, and it supports the attempt being made by AU and other stakeholders to resolve conflict in the Horn, including those in Ethiopia. But we are dismayed by AU's biased briefing notes, which endorses state terrorism. We strongly demand the AU correct those facts and straighten its partiality. We expect at minimum from AU to refrain from complicating the already complex problem of this troubled empire, the statement concluded. So that's a very strong statement from OLF against AU's briefing on the situation in Oromia. And TPLF also said this organization, this continental body is not fair. It's aligned with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, so it's not impartial. It's not impartial. That's why the OLF is also complaining about this. Okay, this is from U.S. State Department signing of U.S. instruments of ratification of Finland and Sweden's NATO accession protocols. So Finland and Sweden are almost ready to join the North Atlantic Alliance, NATO organization, and Russia is usually fighting back to oppose such enlargement of NATO's, but these are now at the doorstep to join. Now the United States Congress approved it, the Biden already signed it, so their membership is almost ready to be completed. So this is from U.S. State Department, Antony Blinken, Secretary of State. Today, President Biden signed the United States instrument of ratification of the accession protocol to the North Atlantic Treaty for the Republic of Finland and the Kingdom of Sweden, which the U.S. Senate approved on August 3. We celebrate this historic moment, which underscores the U.S. commitment to our shared transatlantic security. We are pleased with the swift progress toward Finland and Sweden becoming NATO allies. There is strong allied and bipartisan support for the membership application of Finland and Sweden, and we look forward to quickly bringing them into the strongest defensive alliance in history. We appreciate the swift action of all of the allies who have already ratified the accession protocols and encourage all to complete the process soon so that Finland and Sweden can accede to the North Atlantic Treaty and join the NATO alliance. It bears repeating at this historic moment that the U.S. commitment to our NATO allies and Article 5 of the Washington Treaty is ironclad. Allies are united in their shared mission to defend the Euro-Atlantic community, deter aggression, project stability, and uphold NATO's values of democracy, individual liberty, and the rule of law. We also remain firmly committed to NATO's open door policy and to further strengthening our bilateral defense and security cooperation. So that is in support of Sweden and Finland joining North Atlantic organization or NATO, and very important, especially for weak countries who are intimidated by Russia, who are fear of the attack by Russia. Ukraine is suffering now because of that intention. So being the member of NATO will have a defensive and other advantages, especially because of this Article 5. An attack on one country, a member of NATO, will trigger the help, the collaboration, the unity of all NATO members, and to attack the attacker, whoever it is. Ukraine is suffering because Ukraine is not part of NATO. Ukraine is getting all the weapons, all the money, everything, but NATO cannot join the fighting there, because Ukraine is not a member of NATO. That's the problem. But Ukraine is getting everything. Money is flowing, weapon is flowing, human being is flowing. But officially, NATO cannot join because Ukraine is not a member. Thank you. So let's continue with these two videos and finish up today's presentation. One is about troubled region, that is conflict between Palestine and Israel. The next one is about the election in Kenya. Thank you again. Let's listen.
A senior commander of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, a Palestinian armed group resisting Israeli occupation. Thousands of mourners filled the streets of Nablus, where Ibrahim Nablusi was killed. Some cities in the occupied West Bank have called for a general strike. Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades say their response will fit the crime. Ibrahim was known as the Lion of Nablus. His mother says there will be many who will continue his mission.
They think they killed Ibrahim, but there are hundreds of Ibrahims. There are millions of Ibrahims. Every Palestinian is Ibrahim.
The Israeli military says it surrounded Ibrahim Nablusi's home and after an exchange of gunfire used shoulder-launched missiles against the building. 2 others were killed in the operation. More than 60 people were reported injured. John Holman has more now from Nablus.
You can see that there's a crowd of people, young men, who've come to the house here in Nablus in the occupied West Bank, where Ibrahim al-Nablusi was killed by Israeli forces. Actually, up above, you can see the bullet holes in the roof. There was a firefight that lasted from 5 in the morning to 3 or 4 hours, in which he was eventually holed up in this building and then killed. Just spoke to an eyewitness that he said that he eventually found the body just next to where I'm standing. So also in this firefight, more than 60 people were injured, and Ibrahim al-Nablusi wasn't the only person that died. Another member of the group died here with him, and also another young member of the group, which is the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade. Now, Israeli forces said that they went after him because he had fired at civilians and soldiers, especially those heading to Joseph's tomb, which is a sacred site to Jews and Muslims and Christians, which is quite close to here. Here in Nablus, though, he is seen as a fighter that was fighting against what people see here as oppression, against the occupiers of the occupied West Bank. And as such, his funeral procession here and the mourning for him is being felt not just in Nablus, but in other towns like Hebron and Ramallah, in which shops are also shutting here in the occupied West Bank.
Well, people in Gaza are still mourning and burying their dead in the wake of 3 days of fighting between the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group and Israel. On Tuesday, the death toll rose to 46 Palestinians killed by Israeli fire. 15 of them were children and hundreds more were injured. A ceasefire agreement was brokered by Egypt on Monday.
I started an online store doing dropshipping the new way, and in my first 6 days, I did over $10,000 in sales selling these shark slippers. I found a keyword that was blowing up on Google. That's all I did. If you believe,
I got some results because, of course, you know that there has been some 12 countries that have been conducting these elections in the diaspora. Just quickly, some of them are in Africa, some of them
the last
in
video
North
talking
America,
about
some of
Kenya
them
election.
in Europe, including Germany and the UK, in Asia, that is UAE and Qatar. So let me just go straight to the results. We know that from the forms that we've seen in Germany, for instance, the embassy in Berlin, there are some 115 people that voted for Raila Odinga, 104 voted for William Ruto, 2 voted for Ajakoya, 3 voted for Maure. Then in Qatar, the embassy in Qatar, 135 voted for Raila, William Ruto got 169, 0 for Jakoya, 0 for Maure. In Rwanda, there are some two polling stations. The first one, 170 votes for Raila Odinga, 82 for William Ruto, 3 for Jakoya, and 0 for Maure. Then in the second polling station, 150 for Raila Odinga, 81 for William Ruto, 4 for Wajakoya, 4 for Maure. South Africa, Pretoria, there are some two polling stations. The first one, 161 for Raila, 54 for William Ruto, 0 for Wajakoya, 1 for Maure. The second polling station in Pretoria, 159 for Raila Odinga, 67 for Ruto, 2 for Wajakoya, 1 for Maure. In Tanzania, there is a polling station in Arusha. The first one, Raila Odinga got 91 votes, William Ruto 45, 1 for Wajakoya and 2 for Maure. And then in Dar es Salaam, 87 for Raila, 43 for Ruto, 0 for Wajakoya and 1 for Wahiga. And then in Uganda, Kampala, the first polling station has reported 148 votes for Raila Odinga, 73 for William Ruto, 1 for Wajakoya, 0 for Maure. And then in the UK, London, at the High Commission of Kenya, 190 votes for Raila Odinga, the first polling station, 95 for William Ruto, 3 for Wajakoya, and 2 for Maure. Then the second polling station, still in London, 183 for Raila Odinga, 103 for William Ruto, 2 for Wajakoya, and 3 for Maure. In the UAE, they are yet to upload their Form 34A. In South Sudan, there's some two polling stations. The first one, 250 votes for Raila Odinga, 140 for William Ruto, 0 for Wajakoya, and 1 for Wahiga. Then South Sudan, the second polling station, 264 for Raila Odinga, 129 excuse me, for William Ruto, 0 for Jakoya, 1 for Maure. Of course, I'm sure many are asking, what's the total? So for Raila Odinga, from those polling stations that have so far been tallied from how many countries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, eight countries. Then you have Raila Odinga scoring 2,103. That is from the diaspora. For William Ruto, 1,185. Wajakoya, a total of 18, and Maure, a total of.
Okay. Thank you, Citizen TV from Kenya. So, as the Kenya election, probably they have a different policy. Maybe they have a dual citizenship policy. That's why the diaspora, the Kenyan diaspora from different country participating in this voting. Ethiopia doesn't have this dual citizenship. We never voted. We never took part when Prime Minister was play with the system, arresting all opposition, and presented himself as a sole winner in the past. You know, cheating is not election. Cheating by using the system, by using the election board, by using the security forces, the federal forces, by arresting all the oppositions except those friendly to him. So that's the situation. And I hope Kenya will have a successful result very soon. Most probably Raila Odinga or William Ruto. The competition between these two. The rest is just, I don't think they're gonna have a chance. Probably Raila Odinga or William Ruto. So let me conclude. The Israeli-Palestinian issue, as I said before, it just keep coming and creating death and destruction on Palestinians. Palestinians are the most to suffer in proportionate use of force. If one Israeli killed by incident or by this Palestinian attack, the response will be devastating on the general public, on the Palestinians. Now it's already reported 46 Palestinians killed, no Israeli deaths reported. That is, how much the power difference you see. And that's why Palestinians are keep losing their human lives and also losing their territory, through time. The United Nations is talking about two-state solution for a while. I don't know why they are delaying. That's maybe the best solution for now. They should implement it to end this continued bloodshed. This is heartbreaking story. Continue. No ending solution. There is a ceasefire announced for now, just as temporary solution. Then attack will come back because there is no solution. This is temporary ceasefire mediated by all these players, not looking for permanent solution but temporary solution. So the expansion will continue. So the killing will continue. The devastation of the building, the destruction, and the death of these Palestinians. The majority have no arm to defend themselves. And please, I ask you again to be the voice for the Oromos suffering under the drought and the hunger. The government is trying to hide it, so we have to be the voice for them, so the international community can help them urgently, so we can save life. As I said before, more than 1 million animals lost, and we from one region, one area only, about 12 people died. And report is not coming because nobody cares. FANA doesn't care. ABC doesn't care. OBN doesn't care about hunger. They only care about prosperity, lifestyle. The lifestyle in Addis Ababa, capital city. Some shining park celebration, or Prime Minister planting some trees. That's they want to report about those things. So we have to be the voice. We have to ask for the international community to help these hunger victims, to help these drought victims. So that's all I'm gonna say for today. Thank you for joining me. I will be back with other news and other updates. Be safe. So long, everyone.